Hi guys, happy Friday. Welcome to the Design Exchange podcast. I'm your host, Danny Russo, with the amazing and marvelous Melinda Peters Elliott. So,
Danny.
hope you guys are having a good week. Hope you had a good week. We're going to talk about some design stuff today, and we decided that we would talk about how the design process works and how each designer does it differently. So, Melinda, we both have different perspective of things. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start how your process works.
Well, you know, a lot of I wanted to start by saying the design process is broken down into a lot of different steps and stages. And I've made notes, so please let me glance at my notes so I don't forget. First of all, it's the programming of the design project, a concept that's
What does the
being
programming
developed.
mean?
Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
We're just outlining the different steps of the process. There's a presentation, there's the design, there's documentation, there's execution and evaluation. So when you get into a project, the first thing you do is, like as a designer, we go through the design statement, like what is the definition of what the client wants done. And that is usually done either on the phone on a discovery call. Most of the time it's pretty much a discovery call, which is, for me, it's like a 20-minute conversation with one of my staff members. They're just trying to get what are you wanting? Who are you thinking you know, when do you want it done? What
The timeline.
do you want done? Yeah. What's your budget?
I call it the 5 W's.
Oh, okay.
Who, what,
Yeah.
where, when, and why.
Yes.
So who is the client?
And how? And then you have to have a H.
What are we designing? Is it a house? Like what is it?
Yeah.
Where is the project?
And Africa.
When do they want it done by?
Yeah.
Who, what, where, when, and why are we doing this?
Yeah. And why now? You know,
So,
that's a question I ask. Why now?
The two major things are timeline and budget. And I learned this from you, and it was from one of your books. Parties are not a deadline.
No.
And they will not make things happen faster.
No.
And we can only do things as fast as we can do them. I promise you, and I say this to my clients all the time, I am not hiding your furniture from you. I am not sitting on it. It's been ordered. I cannot control the trucking industry, the logistics industry.
That's right.
I can't make a ship sail faster. I am magical, but I can't, there's things that are not within our control.
Right.
And during COVID, I mean, you would have thought that as designers, you would have think that we personally cooked up COVID in our kitchen and we caused the weather to make the foam plant freeze in Texas, which caused a foam shortage. And
I forgot all about that.
Oh, yeah, how did you forget? It's still
I
happening.
know. I mean, it's been 2 years.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that are not in our control, but we have to take responsibility for. And at the end of the day, it's our names that are on the door, and we're trying to get your project done as fast as we possibly can.
Right.
But there are things out of our control.
So do you do a discovery call for your clients?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, and
Do
I
you
ask.
talk to them yourself?
I don't.
Okay, I don't either.
Sometimes I will. If I happen to answer the phone, I will talk to them. But we have a detailed sheet which asks those questions.
And we actually,
You have a lot of questions. Mine are narrowed down to one page.
Well, we have kitchen questions and we have bathroom questions.
Well,
and
that's
we have
the what?
design questions. You know, it's like we have a questionnaire we even send out to our clients for them to answer it and send back to us.
I have boxes that get checked off.
Yeah.
Is this new construction? Are we reconstructing? Are we remodeling? Or are we just working with what we have?
Yep.
And then one of the big questions on there is, how many people live in the house?
Yes.
Do you have pets?
Who's the decision maker?
Well, you want...
Who's the decision maker? Who's going to write the check?
It's usually the men.
Usually, but not
and they're the
always.
ones that don't really get the process.
And they don't want to meet with us.
No,
so
they just want it done.
That's one of the situations that I've gotten into. It's like you meet with the one spouse and the other one isn't there, and then
we like both decision makers to be at the presentation meeting.
It's very important
Yeah.
for them to meet us because it's know, like, and trust. And I know that as a designer that you need to know me, like me, and trust me. And if the person writing the check isn't there to know, like, and trust me, and they've never met me before, the chances of me being able to help you get you want is slim to none. And this just happened to me actually.
Yeah,
about a month ago. You know,
I'm aware.
I had a lady, and her husband's a doctor, and she met with me, and she fell in love with us, and we came up with all these great ideas.
And you're spending a lot of money with a designer,
And
so
we're
it's
spending
not
our time too.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's not you.
And he didn't know me, and he didn't know what this was all about. And it sounded like a lot of money to him. You know, $8,000 for a design fee to do their whole first floor was a little too much. And we go through and specify every single thing we're going to do. But for some reason, Danny, somebody can walk into a furniture store and spend $8,000 on a sectional, but they
don't think twice about it.
Yeah, and they don't think that the value of, and we talked about in our last podcast the value of a designer, but they undervalue what our process is and what has to be done to get this amazing design. And I feel like,
And that $8,000 sofa could end up costing $6,000 if you get it through a designer, and it's perfectly planned out, and we receive it, and it's in the special seating cushion that you want. We have different types of cushions.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So basically, when you come to, you're calling the designer, and it's kind of a two-way conversation. We're asking a lot of questions. Obviously, he asks questions, I ask questions. There's lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
And then once we get that kind of a plan as to what you're wanting.
So you call it a discovery call.
I did.
And that's when they're calling into the office. So
That's
when
right.
they've called into my office and they've talked to one of my associates, they fill out the form, who, what, where, when, why, what's the timeline,
Yep.
what's the budget,
Yeah.
and then I'll review that and decide whether that's going to be a good fit or not.
Right.
And then I'll call them back myself.
Oh, you do?
And spend time talking with them.
Okay.
And then if they do get onto my calendar, I call that a meet and greet.
Okay.
And that's the first thing.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
I go out and I want to see what I'm working with.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes the places don't exist, and it might just be off plans.
Yep.
And even if that's the case, I'll meet the client at their current home,
Yeah.
and I do an
Condo.
inventory of everything that they have, and I'm asking them how many people are going to be sitting, how many people are in your family? Do you entertain a lot? How many seats do you need at your dining table? How many seats do you need in your living room? And that has my mind going.
Yeah, and you go in deeper at the appointment. So, and a lot of times I'm looking around to the home, and I'm just doing a survey of like, what have they purchased in the past? What is meaningful to them? Is there something that has an emotional connection?
A sentimental
that
value.
I really don't need to get rid of.
Something that's senti.
Yeah.
And I've been in the situation where I'm like, so tell me how this happened. And then they're like, well, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I found that at a garage sale, I want to get rid of it.
Or I went to Africa and got it.
Sometimes
on
I'll
my
hear,
safari.
oh, this was my great grandmother's, it's been passed down through the family, and that's a piece we have to work around.
That's
So-
right. Yeah, those types of things don't happen on the discovery call.
No.
And if we feel it's a good fit, to go out to the home and do a site analysis, so to speak. You know, it's like, what do I feel like I can work with here? And knowing how the client has answered the questions is how we'll predict how the rest of that appointment goes. I do charge for those appointments because my clients get information out of me at that appointment. If I think that they've got a bad layout, I'll tell them, like, this layout is not working, like this should be here, and I think you need a this there, you need a focal point there, you need to get rid of this mirror.
I'm laughing at myself because I was about to say, the best is when we get the phone calls, or we both use House Pro, and we get somebody that wants to basically renovate their kitchen, add a new living room, and the budget's $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not realistic.
No.
So we have to explain, but then think about it, and a lot of people don't know what things cost.
Right.
But we're in stores, at markets, constantly. We know what things cost. I
Right.
know what a leather sofa is going to cost based on how much leather we need. And I could tell you that a 3-seat sofa requires at least 5 to 7, if not 8 cowhides. And a good cowhide piece, if you will, I know runs at about $3,750 to $4,500. You mark that into your how many seats you want, you're up to
$10,000.
10,
yeah.
12, 13, 15,000.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And that's how, like, at that appointment, we can direct the conversation. We can direct the mind. We can direct the project and, like, figure out what is a good fit. Because if someone says, I want leather cowhide sofas, and you say $12,000, then
well,
they're
there's
going,
also other factors. Then
well,
they tell
on
me,
Wayfair, I can get a sofa for $800. Well, then we are like night and day.
Yeah.
And that is
then-
a sign that we need to do some more education.
and the animals come into play too, because I've
Yes.
had a lot of clients that have cats that the cats
Oh,
don't like
yes.
leather. So that's where we end up ordering memo swatches or fabric samples, and we let them sit at the house to see how we'll leave them for a week or two to see how the animals react to it.
Yep.
Also, performance fabrics.
Yeah, that's right. We talk a lot about performance fabrics.
You want
too.
to talk about it?
Well, not in the
Okay.
deep detail. I think
Okay.
that that is a whole podcast in itself.
But that's a question. Yeah, that is. But that's a question that we ask
Yes.
to get to the end result, which is going to be a presentation eventually. So
I even ask people, what was the last
We
thing
have
you
meeting-
purchased? Like, what was the last thing you purchased for your home?
That's a good
And,
question to
You know, and where did you get it? You know, and that is a very telltale sign. Like, well, I was at this, market, and I found it's a vintage find, and blah blah blah. That tells me a lot. Or if someone says Walmart.com, then I know like where their mind is at, and I can direct the project in the right way. But a lot of times
we have to educate the client.
I can budget on site. I can say, okay, we need a sofa, a chair, an end table, a lamp, blah, blah, blah. And I will assign a price for each one of those items based on if they like low, medium, or high quality.
Yes.
And I can say, your budget is gonna be around $10,000 for this room. Or your budget's gonna be $20,000 for this room. Or your budget will be about $1,000 for this room. And people can go, okay, that's good, that's bad, that's ugly,
Yeah, and we don't know until we
That's
can
fine.
actually start. So
Yeah.
you have to have a jumping off point.
Yeah.
And it's about selecting one piece. So like I said, we have the discovery call, which you have as well. Then we have the meet and greet, go see, meet and greet.
That's right.
And then what I do, I go back to my office and I have to think about it for a
Me
while.
too.
So
Me
then
too.
I'll start putting together the scope of work.
Yes.
So at our second meeting, I'll have met the client, and by our second meeting, I'll have determined the scope of work and figured out the dollar amounts, and hopefully the client has given me a budget by that point, because at our second meeting is when I present the design contract that lays out all of the scope of work and all of our processes, and
And how much your time,
yes,
how much
we
your
estimate
time is.
how much it's going to be
Yep.
time-wise.
And I do that by doing like a package of my time, because I don't want to waste my clients' money, and I know
Same.
I don't want them to waste my time. So I'm trying to find the happy medium with all of that.
Yes.
So, and if I
it's also about how
my
much-
time, in a design package instead
That's
of
what I
going
do. When
hour
you're saying
by
design
hour by hour.
package, I call it flat fee.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you have
more of a
hourly
flat
and
fee.
you have flat fee.
Yeah.
So we both do packages of ours. I tried to get everything into my package
Me
where I'm
too.
not having to go back and say, hey, we need more time.
Right.
And I've been doing this long enough that I know how long it's going to take.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you're working with an experienced designer versus an inexperienced designer,
Or someone new.
that is a big, big, big deal, because I can do the work of 6 designers in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because if you have this knowledge of all of these resources
Yes.
and where to go to find things, and you know how much they are, And we can recall that stuff so much faster than anybody who's new who has to learn that type of thing. So I feel like we save our client a lot of money because we are quick.
Yeah.
We are fast, we are furious, and we are good.
Yeah.
And we're experienced.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things, like you get what you pay for. You have an experienced designer, their rate might be higher. You know, it's definitely going to be higher.
Yes.
Hopefully a
What's the
designer
point of
has, you know, I mean, an hourly rate is anywhere between $150 on up to maybe $500.
I've heard of designers that charge $80 an hour.
Yeah, I have
and
too.
I have heard of designers charging $150 an hour, and I'm like, what did they do for you? And
I
it's
know.
my last few big jobs, my clients actually realized after they had signed on, and they didn't necessarily trust me at the point, but meeting number 1 was the phone call, meeting number 2 was the meet and greet, meeting number 3, I was presenting ideas. And I've heard of these designers that can't draw, and I'm very confused by that.
Me too.
They didn't do presentation boards.
No
And
mood
I was
boards.
like, wait, you didn't get a mood board? And they
Right.
were like, no. I go, so what did this designer give you? They just gave them a bill.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Yeah, see,
we do
we're
detailed
the same
drawings.
Thing. Like we give our clients something for their money.
yes.
I mean,
I
you
miss
have
doing live mood boards.
Yeah.
We now do them mostly digitally,
Yeah,
but we
me
used
too.
to have
all the samples.
everything sampled out, printed out, pictures. But now the technology's advanced so much, we do things
furniture
differently.
and accessories, you really can't do it in, you know, like virtual. It has
You
to be
can,
virtual.
you can,
Unless
but you
you
can't.
have it, like
I
you
do.
do.
I set up in my line items. I set up a line item for styling and accessories, as well as a line item for installation and construction. That could be
Yeah.
my carpet installer, tile installer. But I do know how much is going to be needed for that, and we do pretty good
Yeah.
guesstimations.
I think what confuses a lot of people is that if you called a contractor and you said, I want to remodel my kitchen, or I want to add on whatever, that contractor is going to go to your house and not charge, and they're going to do all this work and put all this time and energy into things, and then they're going to bring it back to you with a price. And then it's up to you to decide whether you're going to do it or not. That contractor is on the hook.
That
he's got a lot of time.
That scares me because a
It
contractor
scares
is
me
not a
too.
designer. So,
No.
what color is he going to paint the walls? What
Right.
finishes is he going to use?
Well,
is
what
he gonna
kind
go
of paint?
exactly?
Even did that.
Yes.
You
What
know?
kind of paint?
Are you going to do Promar 200 with a one coat and no prime? Like there are
Lighting.
really-
Lighting is key.
Oh yeah.
Like-
a lot of contractors will quote without any can lights, so that's
Yeah.
all an upcharge.
And then you get upcharged, and we try to avoid that like the plague.
And that makes us look higher, but we're more efficient and we're more fulfilling to the whole project as a whole because we care about what it looks like, and he's wanting to just
Do it.
just build
And he
it.
can give you the cost of the 2x4s,
Yeah.
but I mean, he's going to give you the cost of the lowest possible denominator, the lowest possible finish. So you're going to get the cheapest paint. If there's flooring involved,
flooring,
he'll give you a
that
flooring
won't last.
allowance, and it's not going to last you very
No.
long. It's not going to look good either.
No, there's allowances, and they're always, always, always too low.
Yes.
100%. Every
So
time.
when you bring in a designer and you're early on in the project, we evaluate their allowance sheets and we say, hey, this is not right. This number's not high enough. And I can show you what you can get for this number, but you're not going to be happy with it. So
Right.
then I have to show them how
Yeah.
it can be. And it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah.
It
We're
just-
just educating.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people need to think about. A designer, it's education. You're buying education. Oh, that's huge.
Good job. Yeah.
Thanks.
But I mean, I thought that's something we automatically did.
I know.
Because
but
I mean,
don't
people do
realize
not
that.
know what things cost, and then I had a client a few months ago tell me not to use design jargon,
Ooh,
and I used the word threshold
okay.
about a door, and I was like, well,
What else
and
will
they were
you
like,
call it?
they were like, don't confuse us with design jargon, but it's very important like if you're switching your floors out, you have a threshold between carpet and tile, between carpet and wood flooring,
and
wallpaper,
paint.
I've seen people not use finishing pieces like Schluter that goes along the side of a tile.
Yes.
And the contractor.
It's not that it's jargon, it's just terminology.
Yeah.
It's terminology. And it's something that's like going to the grocery store and getting Pringles versus potato chips, you know.
Well, I don't know if that's a really good analogy because the prices are set at the grocery store. Like when we're working in our world, our prices fluctuate, and it just depends on who we're working with, how much business we've done with them in the past, and that's why having a designer who has a network like we do, if I don't have an account at xoxofabricsamples.com, I'll call Melinda, who has an account, and I can get pricing that way. If Melinda doesn't have an account with a lighting vendor and she needs something, she calls me. If neither of us have an account, we call Trish in Florida.
That's right.
Or Lisa in South Carolina. Or Megan in Casper, Wyoming. But we have a network of people that we work with that guide us so that we get the client the best prices.
That's right. So talk about concept development, because that's kind of the next stage with all of this stuff. And then how does that work? Where do you start?
So for the concept development, I try to pick out 3 words, 3 keywords for the project.
Okay.
So I will look at everything from their inspiration pictures to what they have, and I'll say, okay, is this going to be timeless, elegant luxury? Is this going to be comfortable, refined, sophisticated? Is this going to be Southwest, nomadic, functional? But I try to come up with those 3 words, and then I try to get the client to at least give me a yes on one piece of furniture, and then that one piece of furniture, and knowing everything the client has told me, I start building the room from that, and that's how I develop the concept.
Yep. I develop concept just by looking at the things that they have, and then I ask my clients to show me a bunch of pictures, whether it's on their phone, it's on an iPad, it's magazine pictures. Like, show me what you like, what speaks to you. And if they have not done that homework, which we do tell them at our first discovery call to do some homework.
Yes.
If I haven't
I love clients, they send us Pinterest boards.
Yes.
I've had
Pinterest
clients
boards,
send me printed books.
Yep. House has a really good platform of pictures and visuals and things like that. If they cannot come up with any visual, then I have to. And I will give them 3 options.
3 options. We always do 3 options.
3s are good.
We always do 3 options because I think, and then I always have backups in my mind. And sometimes I'll be surprised when I think a client doesn't like my option 1, they actually like my option 3. I'm like, oh, I thought but I'm like, okay. And we just build off it from there.
Yeah.
But I always get my clients involved,
Yeah.
and I make sure they're involved in every step of the process.
And here's funny thing I do is I'll always pick 2 that I love. They're like cranking, like awesome, and I get one that I don't think they will. But it's like thinking way outside the box, but like really out there.
Yeah.
And I want them to say no to something. I want a no on something, because sometimes they get overwhelmed and they like them all. So I will be like, which one do you like the least? The least.
So sometimes if we're doing a whole house, I'll say, okay, well, since you like both of these or all 3 of these, we can do this in this room, that in that room, this in there.
Yep.
And
that's a good
we move
good
things
way of
around
doing it too.
that way.
Yeah. So,
but I'm always thinking ahead, and I want to know what they're going to be remodeling or redoing next.
Fabric is an inspiration too. People be like, I love this.
She loves leopard print, by the way.
I love it. Yes. And I don't have it on.
I'm
today,
surprised. I'm surprised.
I have a shirt in my room, but
I have a necklace for you.
Yeah. But anyway, like sometimes like fabrics will speak to somebody. And I'll take some things that I think, oh, let's just look through fabric. Let's find some really cool stuff. And I brought this book because I felt like you might like some of this stuff.
I saw one I really like in here.
Some pretty fabrics in here. So.
And you can use these on.
Snake.
You can use these on. Is this upholstery? So we always check.
upholstery,
We always
bath,
check the
draperies.
whether what the double rubs are, what it's
Content.
made out of, polyester, whether it'll be good, how it's going to wear, how it's going to wear with children.
But you know, sometimes it's just a starting point. Like,
I
you
love
know,
this.
some people might like green, so it's like, well, you know, does this speak to you? Do you like this?
So
type
one of my
fabric?
questions that I ask clients is, "What's your favorite color?"
Yeah, we asked that.
And
too.
sometimes I don't get a solid answer. So I will say,
What
out
do you-
of the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, which do you gravitate toward?
Oh,
And I say, just pick one. And then once they tell me that, I'll think of the complementary color, and then I'll say, what about this color? What about this color?
yeah, that's a good.
And
way
that's
of
how
putting
the conversation ends up evolving and
Yeah.
going forward.
it. I ask people to tell me their least favorite colors.
Yes.
That what do you?
We
like
do
the
have likes and
least?
dislikes.
Yeah, and what kind of?
The best is when
patterns or
somebody
prints?
tells you they don't like the color brown.
Oh,
And I'm like, so tell me about your floors. And then they're like, they get confused.
yeah,
Because all furniture's made of wood, and wood is
Yeah.
typically brown.
yeah.
Or they tell me they don't like green, but they love big windows. And I'm like, well, what color are the trees?
Yeah, right, right.
So, and that's not like, that's a playful thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what they want to be around and what they want to see, I try to bring that in. And it's all about bringing the outdoors in these
It
days.
is. And I think I just have to say this too. With you and I, we weave in personality. We weave in, that's why we're podcasting, because
Yeah.
we have a really unique personalities, and our clients love us. You know,
Yes.
they don't just like us, they love us. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just
We're not
saying,
narcissistic at all.
They're holding on to my leg going, Mommy, don't leave me. I can't make a decision without you.
No, there really are clients though that do call, and they have a hard time. A lot of people that I'm hearing, they have a hard time envisioning things.
Right.
So we're testing out all the new technology. I am one of the most technology advanced designers coming out, and I'm going to be one of the first that's going to have augmented reality glasses.
Yep.
And you're going to be able to look in your room
I'm going to be
and
the
see
second
everything.
one. I'm going
She
to
will.
let him get the bugs worked out.
But I've been working on it for a year. And
I know.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there.
But, you know, a lot of that concept is just kind of developed in our brains, you
Yes.
know?
And patience is key too.
Yeah, it is. That is like, I'm like a design computer. But when I get in my sample room and I'll start pulling things together and I'll put it down, I'll pick it up, put it down, pick it up, move it around, and then we get kind of a vibe going.
Yeah.
You know, and I talk about vibe with clients. Like, what is your vibe? I want to see, you know, what we can do to give you something you're gonna love, not just like.
And it's
you're gonna
funny
love
how
it.
things look different on paper when you're doing a 2D rendering and even doing a 3D rendering. In real life, when you're actually there at the install, sometimes it doesn't look like you're like, oh wow. And I just had a client that I go, how do you like everything? And they loved everything I did. And I said to them, I go, there's one thing wrong in here. And they go, Danny, everything's perfect. What could be wrong? And I said to them, I don't like the size of this rug.
Yeah.
And I would like to get you a bigger rug. And the rug's on back order until X.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, well, how much is it going to be? Are you going to charge me more? And it's a mistake that I took responsibility
Right.
for. And I ordered them a different rug.
rug.
And
Yeah.
honesty is like,
It is.
we're so transparent and honest with our clients.
Yeah.
It's
It's important.
It's very
It
important
really
to do
is,
that.
because we really want you to.
And the
trust
worst
us.
is when they accuse you of not being
that is
transparent
the
or not
worst.
being honest, and you're like,
Yes.
I've told you everything that I could
Yeah.
possibly. I don't know what we could have.
I feel like
And that
designers
rarely
are very
happens.
giving.
Oh, yeah, we
very giving people, and sometimes we get taken advantage of. But,
Oh, we do. Oh yeah.
But anyway, on to the presentation. So when you do a presentation, and we've kind of touched on this
Mm-hmm.
already, but what do they come to your office? Do you go to their home?
I go to their home.
How do you do this?
I go to their home, and
your-
hopefully they have an Apple TV, and I hook up to their Apple TV,
Ah.
and I'll run through their PowerPoint presentation with them. Or I'll take my computer and we go through everything, and at that point I'll have samples with me, and they'll say, well, I like this, I don't like this. That's considered a revision, and typically we have about at least 2 to 3 revisions.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it though.
But no, we both use House, and
Yeah.
I'm actually a House Pro super user, and I'm testing out their new software, and they just launched a scheduling program. And the scheduling lets me input the entire design process before it starts, and it includes the revisions, and it includes how much time it should take to kick the project off, have the presentation, revisions, meeting.
Yeah.
Final meeting is our kickoff.
Yeah.
You sign off on everything, and that's when we start scheduling everything to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very interactive these days. You can see exactly where everything is, what's happening where. I had just had a client yesterday who did not he was not convinced that he needed brushed brass sconces. He
Okay.
wanted to get them in polished chrome. And I was like, we're putting them on top of a mirror. If we put a nickel on top of a mirror, it's not going to look right. So I went out on a limb and I said, client, I will guarantee you that you like these fixtures. If you do not like them, I will agree to take them back and order different ones. That's how much I believe in them. And it's very rare that a designer will do that,
Yeah.
but I'm that confident in my
Yeah.
designs
Yeah.
that I know that they're going to work.
Right.
Because I've taken into account the entire home and how it's going to work. And I love mixing metals.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for
it's a big
years and
deal
years.
right now, really. So,
And
yeah.
I wonder, because now that we're mixing metals, that does give a timeless look.
It does.
Remember when rose gold popped out for a second?
yeah.
I've seen one hotel that used rose gold fixtures and they pulled it off correctly, but that came and went real quick.
Yeah. So my design presentation's a little different than yours because I'm not as like techie oriented, and some of my
You are.
clients aren't. Well, I am,
You are.
but I don't present it that way. I can't do the Apple TV thing. I don't think I could figure it out.
You
I
will
really
die.
need-
All
I
you
need-
do is pull down. Look at
then
it. It's
cast.
right here.
Oh.
Screen mirroring. And you hit that button and you can screen mirror right to your TV or the TV that you're near if they have an Apple TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so what I do is I use my fancy dancy new printer and I print a page for every item that I am
That's called a tear sheet, Melinda.
Yes, we're doing tear sheets. And
We
they
do
get a
present-
whole folder of tear sheets.
I
that
make
they
binders.
Get to keep.
Yeah,
They get to keep.
I make binders for my
Yeah.
clients and
Yeah.
I keep the tear sheets in there.
Yeah. So we go page by page. We'll start with a mood board. Here's the design, and then here's a tear sheet on every item.
Yes.
So and then we go through that and blah blah blah. But anyway, presentations are fun.
So much fun.
I do some of my kitchen and bath designs. I will present at my office because I have a design showroom with all these different things all over the place. And I've designed it so it can be a working showroom. So I don't do as much presenting in the home unless it's just like window treatments or it's just furniture. And I don't get into tons of that. So a lot of our presentations are done at the office.
Yeah.
So, and we schedule.
Mine are
an
where
hour and a half
I
to
go
2
wherever the
hours for that.
clients need me to go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it'd be nice to do them all in the office, but we have too much stuff.
You have a
But
different
I pick,
office situation.
Yeah, I
you
have a
know?
warehouse.
Yeah,
So and
yeah.
I have my design office.
Yeah.
But it's just
Everybody's
you can get
different.
so overwhelmed with options and
You
things, and we
can.
don't want people to get confused.
No, absolutely not. So, anyway.
Well, I hope this conversation has been useful to you guys.
know.
You can follow the Design Exchange Podcast, TDX Podcast, on Instagram, tdxpodcast.com. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is my YouTube channel at the moment, Danny Russo. And we're going to
Melinda
get
Elliott.
and we're going to get it on there. But we have our website, tdxpodcast.com, that's launching. Daniel Russo Home. Wait, it's danielhome.com, and your Fine Designs and Interiors.com, and on Instagram, your Fine Designs Int.
Yes, that's right. So,
And she has her shop
London,
I'm launching my
downtown.
online shop soon.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's exciting. So everybody's different.
Yeah.
But give us a
Be
call.
different.
Be unique and amazing.
I love the U word,
Me
unique.
too.
Creativity, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Gotta have all three. Four.
There you go. Four. We can count.
Happy
It's
Friday.
Friday.